Ohuhu sent me a package in the mail, so let's open it. So a little context, Ohuhu actually reached out to me a week ago, and when I opened up their email, I was first of all shocked, but then I was also super excited to try out their products. So they were super kind enough to send over their 120 pack Honolulu series marker kit, as well as their fine liners and their marker pad. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing all three products and giving my honest review. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so here is the outside of the bag. And as you can see, there's also like a nice little handle for it to be really portable. So yeah, let's just open this up. Okay, so it looks like these are all the colors, and then here we have some papers. So it's saying to put it in between your sheets to prevent bleed through, which is really useful. It's sort of like a thick, waxy sort of paper feel. And then I assume these are instructions. Yeah, so these are just some instructions. And then here are the swatch pads. This comes with 2, so I guess each one of these has 60. So yeah, let's get into swatching out the colors. Okay, so upon first using these, this is the brush tip, of course, and I really like the feel of these markers. They're not like heavy at all, they're actually pretty lightweight. This would be the chisel nib, as you can see there. As I swatched all the colors, I was really impressed by the way they laid down on the paper. These are alcohol-based markers, so they dry relatively quickly, meaning that I didn't have to worry about any streaks. One thing I will say though is that there were lots of colors that weren't as accurate to the color on the cap. Okay, so I just swatched all the colors, as you can see. Now let's test out the other products and get into sketching. So here I have the marker pad, and then here are the 8 fine liners. Okay, so this sketchbook comes with another one of these little film pieces so that there's no like bleed through on the other end. And then the actual paper itself, it's quite thick. Well, it's not too thick. It feels sort of like a thinner Bristol board, but yeah, that's the paper. And then these 8 fine liners. There is from 0.05 all the way to 1 millimeter, and then there's a bold size, which I'm not sure what that looks like. That's sort of like a little diagram. So this is the bold. Okay, so this is sort of like a calligraphy brush. So this is the 0.05. This pack of fine liners came with a good variety of pens, and overall the quality was pretty good. Also, I didn't know at the time, but I later found out that these pens are actually waterproof, which is really cool. So now I want to actually test out how these markers work on the sketchbook. Okay, so I have these 3 colors right here, and I'm going to start off with the lightest one. For this little demo here, I really just wanted to test out how these markers layer. Okay, so I do see some blending happening. So that is what the bleed through is like on the other page. For this first portrait, I started off by layering lighter colors as a base, and then I slowly eased my way to the shadows. Markers are a sort of medium that I've never really worked with before, and so this all was pretty new to me. Here now you can see me layering on some different colors as the undertones. You can see me using some oranges, pinks, and some purple. Here I'm also using sort of a sage green to dull down some of the colors. And now I'm going back in with the first shade to help blend everything out. For some of the shadowed areas, I also used some gray as I wanted to keep the overall palette less saturated, with little hints of color here and there. To finish this portrait off, I just used the fine liners to add some tiny little details. Okay, so here is the finished drawing. Here is what it sort of looks like on the other side. I think it looks a little better in real life, but yeah, let's go back to drawing. This next drawing is really quick. I just laid down a base layer of yellow and then layering on oranges and reds to give more depth to the piece. This next drawing, if you couldn't tell, is of a gummy bear. Here I'm just blocking out the main shapes, and you can also see that I'm going back and forth using darker colors and then going over them with lighter colors. I found that this helps blend everything out. Also use the code DARIA10 for 10% off at checkout. For this next portrait, I was really trying to be more expressive with my lines. I've seen people draw beautiful portraits with these markers, and I was inspired to take a bolder approach for this portrait. By the way, if you guys want to follow along, all the reference photos that I used are linked in the description. Here you can see that I'm using the colorless blender to blend out some of the brush strokes. Hey guys, so I'm out right now, but I am just trying out this new technique with these fine liners. So I did like an outline. I'm following this new artist. I will put his name up on the screen, but basically it's like being more conscious of the lines and like having the lines be thicker in like the shadowed areas, so like adding more line depth. So for the iris bit of this eye, I'm just like doing little lines. This is the 0.1 pencil, by the way, or pen fine liner I should say. But so far I'm really liking these pens. Of course I tried them in the last portrait, but I really wanted to see how they perform just by themselves. There's no like less ink coming out. It's pretty consistent I mean to say. Also, I did mess up this area a little bit, but that's okay. To fill in the actual pupil, I'm gonna use this brush bit. So, ooh. Okay, it works very nicely. Here is just a quick sketch for the final portrait. Here is the next sketch that I'm working on. I might do some off camera, but yeah, let's get to using the alcohol markers. Hey guys, so I'm working on the next portrait. It actually looks more pinkish in real life. For the base layer, I wasn't filming, but I ended up using first like R18, R19, these sort of shades here, and then it was I think Y5. I got these swatches mixed up, but yeah, that was for the base, and then I'm going to film the rest of the portrait for you guys. For this last portrait, I really just wanted to take my time and focus on blending out the colors. You can see again that I just go back and forth a lot with the darker shades and the lighter shades to help blend everything out. I stayed at this stage for quite some time because I wanted to have a good base before I went in with the deeper values. With this set of markers, there was certainly a great variety of very bright and vibrant colors. However, there wasn't as many skin tone shades as I'd liked, but that just really comes down to preference. Because of this, I found myself really just going back and forth with the same colors, but it ended up working out in the end. For the eyes, I added a base layer of yellow, brown, and red before going in with the darkest shade to add more dimension. Throughout drawing, I always had these swatch pads right next to me just so I could have them as a reference instead of relying on the color of the cap. For the girls' lips, I really ended up overworking them in this portrait, and I should have stopped a lot sooner as I was keep on going back and forth with different colors and then trying to erase with the colorless blender, which just ended up making it look really muddy. For the hair, I first laid in a light beige brown and then a violet and some gray before actually going in with the darkest shade. For anyone wondering, by the way, I am a complete beginner when it comes to alcohol markers or even markers in general, but I found with these Ohuhu markers, they were really straightforward and really easy to use for someone like me who's really unfamiliar with the medium. You can see that these markers layer beautifully, which really helps to add life to your piece. Finally, here are the finished drawings. Overall, I really enjoyed using these markers and other art supplies, and I would totally recommend them for you to give them a try. Here are just some more drawings that I did off camera, and this portrait I actually did in my own sketchbook, and I found that the markers held up really well in my own sketchbook as they did in the marker pad. All the Ohuhu products that I used in today's video will be linked down in the description box below. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to use the promo code DARIA10 for 10% off at checkout. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.